Let's flash back to 1988. George H.W. Bush is elected 41st President of the United States. George Michael is dominating the Billboard Hot 100. Who Framed Roger Rabbit tops the box office, and Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is released in North America, garnering both critical acclaim and commercial success. Now, flash forward to the present day, and this game is regarded as the black sheep of the Zelda series, and is even labeled a bad game by many. So, what happened? Is Zelda 2 really a bad game? Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is an action role-playing game known for its innovative combination of top-down exploration and side-scrolling action sequences. Like its predecessor, it features a sprawling overworld and labyrinthine dungeons, which players must conquer in order to face the final challenge, collecting various items along the way. The story was actually fairly complex for its time. About 6 years have passed since the events of the first game. As Link's 16th birthday approaches, he notices a strange mark on the back of his hand. He shows it to Zelda's nursemaid, Impa, who takes him to the North Castle and places the back of his hand on a door sealed by magic. The door opens to reveal a sleeping maiden. Impa tells Link that this is Zelda, and she was Princess of Hyrule many generations ago. A wizard had cast a spell on her, causing her to fall into an eternal sleep. Impa explains to Link that the mark on his hand means he is the hero chosen to awaken the sleeping princess. She then presents Link with 6 crystals, which he must set into 6 statues contained in 6 palaces. Only then will the Great Palace be opened, where Link can obtain the Triforce of Courage and break the spell. It's an interesting take on the Sleeping Beauty trope, and even features a subplot in which the remnants of Ganon's army are attempting to revive him by sprinkling his ashes with the blood of Link. From the moment you begin your quest, the game makes a good impression. The visuals are fantastic, with large and detailed sprites and colorful worlds to explore. The music is brilliant. The overworld and dungeons are well designed. As you progress in the game, you discover new areas of Hyrule. This is present in many games, including Zelda, but here it's done very well. It gives you a tangible sense of progress to return to an obstacle you were once unable to overcome, and use your newly acquired items or abilities to reach a previously inaccessible area. This game improves upon its predecessor in a number of ways. Most notably, the combat system is more advanced compared to top-down Zelda games. Fighting requires players to rely on a variety of sword techniques, as well as effective use of their shield. It makes for a more strategic experience that would remain unparalleled until the 3D era. Consequently, Adventure of Link has much better boss battles, as well as a greater variety of enemies, and they're more intelligent than their counterparts in the first game. Aside from combat, Zelda 2 is also less cryptic than the first game, with more helpful advice from NPCs and more intuitive gameplay, whereas the first game was nearly impossible to complete without a guide. In contrast to the desolate landscape of Zelda 1, Zelda 2 features a Hyrule teeming with life, full of palaces, swamps, deserts, forests, rivers, mountains, and, perhaps most importantly, towns. The NPC interaction makes this world seem more real, more alive. Additionally, Link can now learn spells and sword techniques from the various NPCs, adding new dimensions to the gameplay. The game does have its faults. Items are not equipable as they are in the first game and most other Zelda titles. Here, certain items are used automatically, such as the candle when entering a darkened area, while others are permanently assigned to certain buttons. As an example, the B button swings the sword during the side-scrolling sections, and plays the flute during the top-down sections. There are no shops and no currency in this game, which is especially strange considering the presence of towns. This game does have a leveling system reminiscent of RPGs such as Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior, but operates a bit differently. Upon reaching a certain number of points, players have the option of upgrading life, magic, or attack power. Yet this game is able to avoid the tedium typically associated with such systems, by rarely requiring players to artificially boost their stats by killing the same enemies over and over again, for extended periods of time. It was implemented quite well, and I don't think it hindered the pacing of the game. So, why do people dislike this game? There seem to be two main criticisms. It's too different from other Zelda games, and it's too hard. Whether or not the game is too hard is pretty subjective. I actually find the difficulty level pretty standard for the NES era, and there are much more challenging games on the system. Besides some cheap deaths resulting from knockback effect, I find this game quite fair. How different is it from other Zelda titles, really? It has all the core elements of a Zelda game: action, adventure, swords, sorcery, exploration, puzzle solving. The side scrolling segments, the point system, and the life counter seem to form the basis for the argument that this game is too radical a departure from the rest of the series. While it's true that these features were abandoned in later games, this is far from the only entry in the franchise with gameplay elements that would never again appear in the series. Every Zelda game has distinguishing characteristics, such as the seafaring gameplay of Wind Waker or the 3-day time loop in Majora's Mask. This prevents the series from becoming stale and repetitive. In this sense, by being different from other Zelda games, Zelda 2 is not different from other Zelda games. There is much discussion of the elements of Zelda 2 which didn't carry over into other titles in the franchise. However, what is less often discussed are the things that did appear in later titles, and, in some cases, have even become staples of the series. This game doesn't get enough credit for how much it shaped the future of the franchise. When creating the 3D fighting system for Ocarina of Time, developers turned to Zelda 2 for inspiration. Therefore, the combat system in nearly every 3D Zelda game can be traced back to Zelda 2. Zelda 2 also marks the first appearance of the magic meter, which would return in many subsequent titles, including Zelda 2's immediate successor, A Link to the Past. This game also introduced the third piece of the Triforce, the Triforce of Courage. Although it was only in the instruction booklet, it's also the first time the Triforce appears on the back of Link's hand, something that would feature more prominently in later games such as Ocarina of Time. This game also established that there is more than one Zelda. This would later become a crucial part of the Zelda timeline. Enemies such as Lizalfos, Iron Knuckles, and Volvagia made their debut in Zelda 2. Furthermore, Zelda 2 is the first game in which Link would do battle with his own shadow, an idea that would be revisited in Ocarina of Time. Games such as Twilight Princess have Link learning new sword skills as he did in Zelda 2. And, once again, this is the first Zelda game to feature towns. Outside of the world of Zelda, the upward and downward sword thrust that Link learns in this game would form part of his moveset in Super Smash Bros., and Zelda 2's dungeon music would resurface as the theme of the Hyrule stage in Super Smash Bros. Melee. I'd like to conclude this video by posing a question to anybody who played this game in the late 80s. What did you think of it then, and what was the consensus? Does it hold up today, or was it just a good game for its time? If you don't like this game, what specifically do you dislike? Share your memories in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll meet again, I hope.